darkness of the night, silence all around, and a field where thousands of corpses are impaled on spears. The air reeks of decay, and in the middle stands a man whom the world calls Vlad the Impaler. But the question is, was he human or something else? A long time ago, in 1431, in a land surrounded by cold mountains and dense forests, Transylvania, a child was born. His name was Vlad the Impaler. No one knew that this child would one day become one of the most terrifying names in history. Vlad's father, Vlad II Dracula, was a powerful ruler, but politics was deadly. One day, everything changed. Vlad and his younger brother were taken hostage by the Ottoman Empire. There, children were punished harshly. People were executed in front of them. Fear was used as a weapon. Young Vlad watched it all, and slowly, something inside him began to change. Return and revenge. Years later, Vlad returned, but he was no longer that innocent child. His father had been murdered. His family had been betrayed. He swore an oath, "I will become fear itself." Vlad claimed the throne of Wallachia, but it wasn't easy. Enemies were everywhere. Treacherous nobles, warriors, foreign invaders, power-hungry rivals. And then, the real terror began. Vlad adopted a punishment so brutal that even today, it sends chills down people's spines. He would have his enemies impaled alive on sharp wooden stakes. The death was slow and unimaginably painful. Slowly, thieves disappeared. Crime vanished. People obeyed the law. Out of fear, the forest of death. Once, after killing thousands of enemies, Vlad had their bodies impaled across an entire field. When the enemy army arrived, they saw bodies everywhere, the stench of decay in the air, and a terrifying silence of death. This was the forest of the impaled, the greatest battle. Now, he faced the most powerful enemy in the world, the Ottoman Empire, and its ruler, Mehmed II. On a night in 1462, Vlad launched a sudden attack on the enemy camp. In the darkness, swords flashed, screams echoed through the night. This night attack became one of the most dangerous guerrilla assaults in history. But every story has a turning point. Slowly, Vlad began to weaken. He was captured and held a prisoner for many years. In 1476, he became king once again, but not long after, he died. It is said his head was cut off and sent to his enemies to prove that fear was finally gone. Vlad was fighting against the Ottoman Empire. During the battle, he was surrounded and killed. Some say he was betrayed by his own people. Others believe his own soldiers either failed to recognize him or killed him deliberately. In the end, the very fear he ruled with turned against him. What happened after his death? And this is where the story becomes truly terrifying. His head was cut off and sent to Constantinople. But why? To prove one thing. Dracula is dead, the place where he was buried. When the grave was later opened, the body was gone. That's when people began to wonder, was he really dead? Or had he become something else? And that's how the legend of vampires was born, Vlad's love life. History tells us very little, but a few details have survived. Who is his wife? It is believed that Vlad's wife was a princess, possibly from Transylvania. When the enemies surrounded the castle, his wife, to avoid falling into enemy hands, threw herself from the castle, choosing death over capture. The golden cup, law through fear. It is said that Vlad placed a golden cup in a public square in Wallachia. No guards, no protection. And yet, for years, no one dared to steal it. Why? Because everyone knew the punishment for theft was death by impalement. Once, Vlad invited his enemy nobles, the boyars, to a grand feast. They arrived in high spirits. The feast was lavish, but suddenly, Vlad gave the order. The elderly were killed on the spot. The younger ones were captured and enslaved. Some were impaled right then and there, the forest of the impaled. This is considered one of the most horrifying events. When Mehmed II's army arrived, they saw thousands of people impaled on stakes, an entire field covered in corpses, the stench, the silence. It was so horrifying that even the Ottoman soldiers were shaken to their core. Some stories claim that Vlad would watch people die while calmly eating his meals. Others even say He would dip his bread in blood before eating it. But here's the truth. This is not fully proven. Many historians believe these were stories spread by his enemies. Once, Vlad gathered all the poor, the sick, and the beggars in one place. He fed them. They were happy. And then the doors were locked and the entire building was set on fire. He reportedly said, "Now there will be no more poor in my land." Once, foreign envoys came to his court. They refused to remove their hats. It was their custom. Vlad saw this as an insult. He gave a brutal order: nail their hats to their heads. Years later, the writer Bram Stoker wrote a novel, Dracula. In it, there was a character, Count Dracula, a blood-drinking vampire. And people began to say this legend was inspired by Vlad.